Hi, welcome back, my chess friends. First of all, wish you all Happy New Year. Hope all of your wishes can come true. And in regards to chess, hope you can play some great games in 2026. Speaking of great games, I played one fairly recently against one of my students. So yeah, without further ado, I would like to share this game with you today. So I had black pieces, and we played the Italian opening. Um, I went for two knights defense, and here my student picked a never boring knight g5 move. Yeah, we white might be let's say breaking one of the opening principles. Yeah, moving again with an already developed piece, but on the other hand, white is targeting a very weak f pawn. Yeah, so f2, f7 pawns are very very weak, especially when you're playing open games. Yeah, starting with e4, e5, you have to always watch out for that weak pawn, because why? Only king defends that pawn. Yeah, it's the weakest next to the king. Yeah, so here is already the first, let's say, critical moment. If you're black, there is only one good move here, and that's pawn d5. So black is, let's say, blocking the black's bishop. Yeah, and he's also attacking the bishop. Yeah, so here white takes, and now this is the second, I would say, very critical moment. It may be tempting to capture these pawns. You could argue I have two attackers, there is only one defender. I mean, isn't it logical to recapture the pawn? But not really. Yeah, if you take here this pawn as black, you would actually you would run into trouble. Yeah, this is so-called fried liver attack. And after this move, white has quite stunning knight takes on f7. Yeah, forking queen and the rook. So black pretty much has to take, and now queen comes with a fork. And the only way to not give the piece back with a worse position, obviously, yeah, you have to play this king e6 move. And yeah, we're not playing we're not playing king of the hill here. Yeah, we're playing normal chess, and this king on e6, I don't think anyone would feel comfortable with black unless your computer. Yeah, probably computer can hold this position. Additionally, white doesn't have to sacrifice the knight. White simply can also play pawn d4. And again, here white has a much better position. Yeah. So yeah, don't take the pawn here. Instead, our knight is under attack. So probably we have to move the knight. There is another move here, pawn b5, which is interesting. Yeah, this kind of counter attack. You take my bishop, I'll take. Sorry, you take my knight, I'll take your bishop. Or yeah, it's an interesting move. But normally we want to move the knight. There is also knight d4, so-called Fritz variation, which I tried a couple of times. But yeah, arguably the most solid move, the best move, is knight to a5. Yeah, so we are moving the knight on the rim, but we want this bishop so badly to move away from this diagonal. Plus, we are, I guess you could say we are gaining some time. Yeah, we are attacking the bishop. And, just to remind you, currently, actually, we are down a pawn. Yeah, so after pawn c6, white takes, and this position, since we are down a pawn, we have to try our best to get some compensation for it. And here I would say, in terms of perhaps in terms of development, in terms of some, we can gain some time. So that's why here it may be more logical to, knights on the rim are dim. It may be more logical to move the knight back and capture the pawn. But this simply allows white to just castle, and I'm not sure if we have enough compensation for that pawn. Yeah, in this position. So here it's just better just to take with the pawn and not allow white to castle, because his bishop is under attack, and his bishop now probably has to move for the third time in a row, yeah, which isn't great. Here it's also possible for white actually not to move the bishop and, you know, use this pin to your advantage. Yeah, this is an interesting line. But yeah, I mean, you also can move the bishop back, yeah, d3 or e2. My student went back to e2, and yeah, now just we can gain more time. Yeah, we can kick the knight. Knight has to drop back. It's possible to go on the rim. It may look a bit awkward, but it's not bad. Yeah, but normally white wants to jump back to f3, and now another free tempo. Yeah, let's say we can push the pawn, and knight has to move again. And yeah, in this position, black has a few good. There are a few good choices here for black. Queen d4, bishop d6, or bishop c5 are all great choices. Yeah, I decided in this game to play bishop c5. Now black is actually already threatening some queen d4 ideas, yeah, which would, you know, threaten checkmate, or just, you know, we're simply attacking the knight as well. So it's like a double attack, double threat. So yeah, that's why I decided to simply castle. And despite white castling, I still went with queen d4. Knight is now under attack, and it really only has one good square to go to. And in this position, I simply decided, why not? My bishop did nothing, why not just simply take the knight? Yeah? So I took, my student took, and in this position, we actually played a couple of times already. So normally, I would simply play here knight c4. You know, like, you should always ask yourself which piece is the weakest, yeah, in my army, let's say. Yeah? And definitely this knight on the rim is not doing much. So playing knight c4, maybe knight can later go to e5, you know, just bringing another piece into an attack would make sense. Another move that makes sense here is just pawn e3. Now we're threatening to capture the bishop. Bishop should probably drop back, and then I guess we can take this pawn, and the game continues. Yeah, but in this game I went for another move. I just wanted to test him a bit, how he would, you know, react in this position, and I played pawn h5, attacking his bishop. Now I always like to say to my students, when your piece is under attack, don't move it immediately. Yeah, like, think maybe there are some counter-attacking chances. And ironically, my student was perhaps following my advice too closely, because in this position it's actually not a good idea to counterattack. It's just better to just move the bishop back. Yeah, my student played pawn c3. And it's like, okay, kicking the queen, maybe b4 can be played at some point later, but this move isn't that great. So I went back with my queen, and now he dropped his bishop back. And now it's, we can say, kind of puzzle time. Yeah, can you find the best move? What did I play next? You may pause the video. Yeah, so in this position, I played first knight g4, simply threatening a checkmate. And this move kind of forces, I guess, white to weaken his castle. Yeah? Because I think taking the knight is probably not a good idea, because now black is still threatening a checkmate, and rook on h8 all of a sudden is alive. And again, yeah, here maybe pawn g3 has to be played. I guess queen h6 probably not because of h4, and if takes en passant, yeah, I don't think that's the best move. Maybe just queen d3. Yeah, and this pawn cannot be captured because king is kind of overworked defending both the rook and the pawn, and I guess I can take here. Yeah, something like that. So yeah, my student played g3, and now what do we do next? Yeah, so here I took the pawn. Awarded a brilliancy. It's always nice to see that, right? Yeah, here it's actually also possible to just simply take on f2, either with the bishop or with the knight, simply because after all this is done, maybe just h4. We can just argue. You have a terrible king, and you have terrible pretty much everything else is terrible in your position. So yeah, I think this would have been great as well. I took on h2, and yeah, here in this position, Compi finds one, we can say, great defense, a bit unexpected defense, yeah, with pawn to d4, attacking the bishop, and perhaps, you know, more pieces, more of white pieces can come into the rescue, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's very hard to find this move, nah? My student took. Can you now follow up how to continue? Why was this sacrifice justified? Your sacrifices in chess should always be justified, yeah, by one reason or another. So here we have pawn h4. We're getting ready to open the h file and niche our attack. So yeah, in this position, after this, my student played king g2. And now can you guess the next move? Yeah, and this move actually was the final move of our game. Yeah, and that's another brilliancy, another sacrifice for those, let's say, ambitious beginners out there. Why white king should not capture the bishop? Yeah, it's because of checkmate in one. So takes here, and we have checkmate. In fact, I'm not an expert on birds, but I do know this checkmating pattern is called dovetail mate. Yeah, it's based on the bird's tail. Yeah, that's the dovetail's mate. The shape of the dove's tail. Yeah, the bird. And I mean, what else to do if rook takes? Then I guess black just takes the pawn. We're threatening to capture the rook. If rook goes back, for example, then we have rook h2, check, king g1, and now queen c5, check. d4, and I hope you're familiar with en passant, yeah? We can take, and checkmate follows. Yeah, so I'm not really sure. I mean, the position for white is pretty much hopeless after this sacrifice. All right, I believe that's all I wanted to show to you today. I want to say also that I really appreciate your, your support, and yeah, I will continue to do my best for you. Thanks so much again, and yeah, see you in the next video. Bye. Bye bye.